Hello, hello, and welcome to Wicked Journals. I'm Eileen, and today we are going to be making this cute little Easter album. So this is made from regular sized lunch bags. They're white lunch bags, and the papers are from hot off the press. And I'm just going to do a little flip through while we talk about what we're going to do. So the book itself, you can make the book itself with any kind of lunch bags, any size, it doesn't matter. I will give you the sizes of the ones I'm using, but you can use whatever size you'd like, and it will work. The process is the same. So we're going to go through and I'm going to make the whole book. And then that way, if you don't want to watch the decorating part, you don't have to. It's kind of fun. I will show you how to make all of these, the fold out pull outs. I will show you how to secure the pockets, how to make the layered pockets. If you're not, if you're new to this stuff, you can watch all that. Pull out pockets, pull out writing spaces. You could also put a photo here, and write about it, or, whatever you would like. And then these, again, you can glue a piece of paper here that you can write on and put a photo, whatever it is that you want to do. Okay. Now, I also want to tell you that I'm going to have kits. I have them ready in my Etsy shop. So I will have kits available if you want to just purchase the supplies that I used and make your own Easter book. It comes with the paper and the ribbon and the lunch bags. So you'll just need scissors and glue. And that's pretty much all you need, really. So let's go ahead and get started. I can't leave this untied. I have to tie it. There we go. And all right. So there we are. Oh, and these are up on, this cover is up on foam tape because this ribbon is a little thick. So I popped it up on foam tape. So if you do purchase a kit, it also has some foam tape in there for you in case you want to do it that way. All right, so let's get to it. I also want to mention that when I made this book, the first thing I did with the papers was I cut all of the sentiments out. I went through and cut all of the cut aparts apart. And I don't recommend that in hindsight, and here's why. So a lot of these, like you can see that there's a lot left over that you can use in card making or, all kinds of projects, right? There's a lot left over. But the reason I don't recommend cutting them apart is because the backs have the beautiful patterned paper on them. And there were a couple instances where I could have used another piece of the patterned paper, but I had cut them into these small pieces for the sentiments. So I would recommend going through and not cutting every single sentiment out, but just cutting out the ones that you are going to use. And then that way you'll have a bit more extra paper if you need it. But with the paper in the kits, and you'll see it when we make the one today, but there's a bit left over. This was all left over. And I used only the paper in the kit to make this book. So let's get started on the book itself. Okay, so you're going to need 6 lunch bags or small paper bags. excuse me. You can get them at the dollar store. I think they have the regular, craft colored brown at the dollar store. But they're fairly cheap. You can get them online. I think I got these on Amazon for, a huge pack for like $5 or something. I'll look and see what's available and put a link for you. But these particular bags are about 10 inches by just a skosh over 5 inches. And what we're going to do with these is we don't want these flaps, okay, and we don't want the side gussets either. So we're going to glue those down, but we also want to cut just a smidge off of the bottom gusset so that we have a pocket. And then we're going to fold all of them in half, and then we will have a pocket on both sides. Okay. Now, when I made this bag, I didn't like the perforated edge here. And so I also cut a smidge off this side. And that makes this book 4 3/4 by 5, and with a little bit of a spine. Okay. So one of these bags is going to be the cover, and you're going to score a spine in there. This time, so I only did a 1/4 inch spine here, and it's fine. But if you add a bunch of photographs and things in here, it's gonna alligator mouth pretty bad. So what I think I'm gonna do is give it a bigger spine on the one that we're gonna make today. So first things first, we are going to cut a sliver off of this end. And I think I'm going to just leave the perforated edge this time, just so you guys can see the difference when we put the book together. So I'm just going to use my little butane cutter, and I am quite literally just going to put a little tiny sliver off the end here that we're going to cut off. It is not a big piece at all. It's just a little sliver there. Okay. And this bag has a little bit of weirdness going on here at the end. I mean, these are cheap bags, right? I mean, we don't expect them to be perfect. So if that happens to you, you can simply just cut it open at the end. That's weird. And that pocket's going to be just fine. So I am just cutting that open. You just want to make sure that that pocket's going to open well. And then we are going to glue these pieces down, but we're going to do all the cutting and then all the gluing on the bags. So I'm just going to put my next one in, cut off a sliver. This one has that weird folded edge like the other one did. So like I did before, I'm just going to open it up and just give that a little snip so that it's all the way open. No problemos here. Okay. And cut. And it looks like I have a whole series of these that have that fold. So also, if you buy the kits, you might have that on one of your bags as well. So, and I think I only have 2 kits made, so I wasn't sure if people would be interested in buying them. So they'll be in my shop, and if they sell out, I will make some more available. But Easter's coming up quick, so if you want it for Easter, then you'll have to let me know that you want one. And if I get more than 2 requests, then I'll go ahead and get those ready and put them in the shop so you guys can get them and make the book in time for Easter. Okay, so we have those ready to go. Now on my prototype, you'll see that I inked the edges, and I inked the edges in, what is it, Shabby Shutter or something like that, Distressed Oxide. I'm not going to ink this one. We're just going to see what happens when we don't ink it. So, okay, so I'm going to set one aside. That's our cover. That one is our cover. Okay, so I'm just going to fold each one in half, and I'm folding it with this flappy bit to the inside. And I'm just meeting the corners, making sure that it's not folded weird, and then just press that down. And then we'll give it a burnish and everything. We're gonna mess with these a little bit before we put the book together, because like I said, we need to glue some pieces down. So we're just gonna fold these, and you could glue the bits before you fold it. Honestly, I don't know why I'm folding it first. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we have several parts that we need to glue down on each one. So, like I said, we have this flap, and I am quite literally just going to put glue around the edges. This is my Barely Art Precision Craft Glue. And I am going to put just a couple stripes in the middle, not a lot, because it's going to hold it pretty good. And then I'm just going to take my glue cloth and make sure we don't have any drippy doodahs. And this bit, you know, that you're thinking, oh gosh, that's going to look ugly. But we're going to cover it with some of that decorative paper as we go through. So it won't look like that when we're done. So the other parts we need to glue down are the gusset. And we also need to glue down this part inside the pocket that we, the ends. So it's kind of flapping around there. And we're just going to put some glue on the edges there. And glue that bad boy down. Okay, because we don't want that flapping around. Now, sometimes you'll get these pieces on the end. I like to just glue it down. Because I just like to have a flat surface. You're going to put decorative paper over that, so it's going to hold it down anyway. So if you don't want to glue all these teeny tiny pieces down, that's totally up to you. But I'm a bit of a anal perfectionist, so I am going to glue them down. Now, what you'll notice when you open this is a tube, because we opened the bottom, right? And as a pocket, if you're going to slide something in here, it can get stuck on these bits right here. Okay, so I am going to glue those down as well. And I'm just going to stick my glue in there and just kind of put some where it's going to flap open. And then I am just going to flatten that. Now, I am going to open it and use my glue rag to make sure that I'm not accidentally gluing that shut, right? Okay. And then we have a nice tube. The other part that we need to close up is the side gussets. And so I'm just going to run a bead of glue down here. Oops, can't see that part, can you? And down here at the bottom. Okay. Move that down. Repeat it on the other side. Easy peasy. Here. There we go. Run it down the side. Flatten it out. Okay, so when you have all your pieces glued down and you open it, you'll see that it's a nice tube. And when we fold it in half, you have one pocket, two pocket. You'll notice on this side, that even though we glued the gusset closed, it still has these flappies in the middle. So I am going to actually glue those to the top to kind of reinforce this part that is going to get the most stress as you put things in and out of here. So I am literally just going to put some glue with my precision tip, which makes things like this super, well, not super easy, but a lot easier than they would have been otherwise. And then I'm just going to flatten that out. Again, I'm going to open it, make sure I didn't accidentally glue it shut. And there you go. So that's one signature, if you will, in your book. Okay, so we have pocket, page, page, pocket, page, page, right? So we're going to do that on all of these. And I do want to share that I did not sew the signatures into the cover. We are actually going to glue pages together and then glue them to the cover. So you don't need to sew for this album. All right, so we're just going to pop through these. And again, this is a really just a cute, cheap album. And you don't have to make an Easter album for sure. You could make it any kind of theme or whatever you need it for. Birthday, anniversary, what have you. And it will last because, yes, it's a flimsy paper bag, but we are reinforcing it. And when we add the decorative paper to it, it makes it stronger as well. So I am going to glue this one with you guys so you can see it again. And then I'm going to pause my recording and do the rest of them off screen so you don't have to sit here and watch me glue all of these together. I could just speed it up, but honestly, it's less work for me to just pause the camera. Just being honest. All right. I mean, I am not an expert with video editing. I am pretty tech savvy in general, but I just don't really have time to learn all the nifty spiffy parts of editing a video. So I'd rather spend my time creating and designing than learning how to edit videos. So I hope you'll forgive me. And you know, if you have a show coming up or something like that, it would be pretty quick once you've made a couple of these or even just one to just sit down and put a bunch of the booklets together, the albums, and then, you know, just mass decorate. Mass decorate, is that a thing? I mean, we talk about mass make, but is mass decorate a thing? I think it is. Makes sense to me anyway. All right. So there's that to be. Well, not to be. Just kidding. And our signature looks good. And I'm going to set that one aside. And then I'm going to glue the remaining 3 so you have 5 signatures and a cover with your 6 bags. Okay, and then I'm going to glue these and then I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. So I glued all of them together, and in case I wasn't clear, you do need to glue the one that you're using for the cover the same as the other pages because you do want the pockets and you do want the little flappy parts from cutting the bottom open to be glued down. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 signatures and 1 cover. And I am going to start on the cover by folding it in half, just like we did with the signatures. Just going to match up the edges. I start at the center and go out to each side when I'm creasing, and you can burnish it with a bone folder or not, up to you. So on the cover, we want a little bit of a spine because all of these are going to be inside our cover. Okay, so we want to allow for adding photographs and all of that stuff as well. So that's almost what I'd say 1/2 inch would be a good spine, whereas on the prototype I did 1/4 inch. Okay, now what's going to happen is when we score 1/2 inch for the spine, it's going to make this cover not reach to the edge of our pages. Okay, so let's go ahead and score this, because then what we're going to do is we need to trim these to fit our cover. Okay, so I'm just going to grab my mini scoreboard, and I'm just going to start on that center, and I'm just going to line it up with one of the lines, say the 2, doesn't matter, and then I'm going to go 1/4 inch to each side. So 2 1/4. I'm going to go ahead and score that center line, and then we're going to go to 1 3/4. Okay, that gives us a little flexibility in the spine when we score in the 3 places instead of just the 1. So if you wanted a rounded spine, you could have a rounded rolling spine if you wanted to, but we're just going to go with the 1/2 inch spine. Okay, now you could add a little 1/2 inch cardboard strip here to make that spine keep its shape. But if you don't, then it will be a bit of a rounded spine as we put our pages and our decorations inside. Okay, so just keep that in mind. So what we're going to do is we are going to glue these to each other, and that is how we are going to bind it. So it's up to you if you want. I am putting on the cover, I am putting the part that had the bottom of the bag towards the front because it's a sturdier piece, right, than the piece that doesn't have that. So I am going to put my pocket, what would have been the bottom of my bag, to the left. You can stack those and put all of the bottoms to the left. I am going to alternate so that we have sturdiness throughout. Okay, so what we're going to do, and keep in mind that you have this little notch right here. Okay, so you don't want to put glue there or you're going to glue your pocket shut. So I always just stick my finger inside like this. That way it reminds me, hey, dummy, don't put glue there. Well, not dummy, because I'm not dumb. Okay, there we go. And I am just going to do the border first. Just like this. You don't, excuse me, you don't have to put glue all the way to the edge. You want a little bit of flexibility for turning the pages and for expansion. So I'm just going to glue around the edges and then put some wiggly stripes in the middle. Okay, and then I am going to line it up with that first score line and put it just right on top of there. Okay, and what this shows us by putting that first one in is we have about a 1/4 inch overhang. Okay, so what we need to do, so if we put it on our glass here. It is literally about 1/4 of an inch. So I am going to trim 1/4 of an inch off of each bag. Okay. And put this guy up here. I'm going to wipe this glue off so I don't get my paper cutter all gunked up. Okay. So I am just going to put this in here and line it up with the edge and chop it off. Okay. Okay, and then we want to look at it and make sure that we don't have any weirdness from the pieces that we glued and then just cut off a bit of, because sometimes your little gussets might open up a little bit like this one did. So I'm just gonna glue that shut. And same thing on the other side, it opened up that little gusset, so I am going to glue that shut. Now, once you have that first one in, you know about how much to cut off. So you can go through and cut those, or you can glue them in place and cut it, and then that way you know it's even throughout. So that's probably what I'm going to do. I'm going to go through, glue the page in place, and then trim it to fit. But I do want to mention that with the cover, you have 2 pockets here, okay? And you can keep both of those pockets, or you can glue one of them shut. And I am going to glue the topmost pocket shut just to give that cover a little bit more stability. So I am going to just run some glue down this edge like this, and I'm gonna put it just a little bit down in there to make sure it seals. You don't have to fill the whole pocket with glue, but you do want to make sure it's going to stay closed. Okay. All right. Okay, so like I said, I'm going to alternate. So we have the pocket end, the not pocket end, the pocket end, the not pocket end. So I am going to put the glue here. Again, not going all the way to the edge of that, because we want flexibility in turning the pages and all that good stuff. So I am just wiggling some glue on there. I'm going to take my pocket, my signature, I'm going to line it up with the previous signature. Okay, flatten that out, and then you can see right away where you need to trim that. So you can glue them all and then trim them. I like to trim as I go to make sure that we're still looking copacetic as we go along. Okay. There's that. And that takes us to the next page. And I tell you what, this glue gives you a little bit of time to get your stuff in place before it dries, but not a whole lot. And that's both a love-hate relationship. I like it to dry quickly so that I don't have to wait forever to move on to the next part. of the project, but sometimes I'd like just a skosh more time. So, but it works really well. Okay. Cut that off. And you can either choose to cut it to where it's shorter than your cover, just a little bit. But I like it to be even. I think it looks nice when it's even. So that's just what I chose to do. But you can do it however you want it to look, you know. You could even tear the edges with like a deckled edge ruler or just with your fingers if you like that torn look on the edges. That would be cute. I mean, you can totally go whichever direction you want to go with this guy. Okay, line this up. Okay, and I'm gonna trim. As with lunch bags or these paper bags, you know, they're not always perfect on the edges lining up, and that's okay. It's part of the charm of using them. See what I mean? Like the edges don't always line up exactly. That's okay. That's how it's supposed to look, so that's fine. All right, and here is our last signature here. And so we're going to attach it to the signature, the previous signature, and then we are going to attach it to the back of the cover. Okay, so we have that, and we're going to trim it. We almost made it through a whole video without Yofi making noise. She's still a pupper. She can't sit still for long, and I can't either, really, so I can't really blame her. Okay, so now when we're going to attach the back cover, I want that last score line for the spine to line up with the edge of the page. Okay, I don't want to pull it tight like that. I don't want to do that. I want to line up that score line. And so what I'm going to do is I am going to, and we're going to need to trim the back cover a little bit as well. And that's totally fine. I expected that. So I am going to just line up that score line, kind of pinch it so the fold is clear. And then I am just going to line that up with that last signature. And you can see we'll have a little bit to trim. Okay, so I'm just going to put the glue on like I did with all the other signatures. Okay. And then we're just going to line that up as close as possible. Okay, and then we're going to trim that back cover just a little bit. Make it nice and even. Just like that. This leg keeps wanting to jump off of this paper cutter. It's pretty well used and loved, so I forgive it. Okay, so now that is our album. Okay, there it is. Bam! You can see it has lots of pockets. So we have one pocket, page, pocket, pocket. Now you can glue one side of those pockets closed, which is what I'm going to do, so that each page only has one pocket. And the reason for that is because if you have two pockets on each page, that's a lot of pockets to fill, and it's going to make your journal like super fat. And as you can see when we did the walkthrough or the flip through of the prototype, there is plenty of pockets and places and things, and you really don't need more. So I'm going to go through, and just like we did with the cover, I'm going to glue one side of that pocket closed. So for the inside, I'm going to leave the bottom of the bag as the pocket that is open, and I'm going to glue the other side shut. And the reason for that is this is a little bit sturdier than this one, and I want all the pages and pockets to be as sturdy as possible. So I'm just going to glue the flimsier side, if you will, shut, so that we only have one pocket per page and each side is sturdy. I'm just going to do that real quick on all of them. Just making sure that glue squishes out as much as possible to the edge, and that I didn't accidentally glue the other side shut. We'll do that on all of them. There we go. Yofi is trying to get my husband to play with her. I don't know if you can hear her or not. Growling gently at him, getting ready to pounce on him. And same thing with that back cover, because it does have that little notch. And again, we are going to cover most of that with, decorative paper. So if you're worried about the flimsiness of that page that has that notch in it, we're going to cover those up. Okay, so here's the album, and I am going to do the decorating in another video, so this one's not super long. And also, if you just want to make the album, there you go, there's the album. And we'll do the decorating in the next video. I will give you this tip in case you don't know, that if you want to put the ribbon around the whole book but have it be under the cover, that's literally what you do. Is I glued the ribbon here, and I did not glue it on the spine, and then you glue it on the back, and then you put your cover on it. And on the back I did this. I just left the strip with the ribbon uncovered. You could certainly do cover over on the back. Keep in mind, this is like a velvety ribbon, so it's a little thick. That's why I did the foam tape on the cover. You don't have to. You just keep in mind, if you cover the back with one piece of paper and it goes over the ribbon, if you have a thicker ribbon, you'll be able to see that strip under the paper. So I did it this way. I think it turned out cute that way. So yeah, we'll do some decorating of the album in the next video. I hope you'll join me. Have a great day. Bye.